Since the early development of metal and steel, many tests were conducted. Um, Tests on cast iron cannons, as well as tests on on swords. You know, could this sword break that sword? Which metal was better? How to make better metal? What was making the metal better itself? There are many cannon tests as well as other tests. The only way to truly test metal, of course, is to make it fail or make it break. And so certain things were possible and certain things weren't possible. And back in the old days, we really didn't have quite the crushing mechanisms that we do nowadays. We do kind of, but back then we really it was a more fun way of testing out the metal. Basically, putting a powder charge inside of a thing, and we were testing out seals and sealing methods and different other things. And it was just a random test that was conducted, I guess, at the year 1700. Although it had been going on for quite some time, basically. Developing thinner, stronger metals that could withstand high amounts of pressure. And basically, it was just a fun thing to do. Take some gunpowder, put it inside of a small space, and blow it. And shoot a projectile probably around one. I think that one was actually the caps were each one of those caps would have been filled with gunpowder. It was a gunpowder magazines, and then you just roll the ball inside down, and then boom, and then you detonate the whole thing. They would. It was just to test out the metallurgy or whatever. And usually pulled from a string, of course, because these guns tend to... and when one chamber goes, they're all going to go next. So, or at least it's going to get very interesting. So each chamber would have been filled with gunpowder, and then, roll the ball in, and then boom. So it really wouldn't have been a boom, boom, boom. It's more of a fill, and then took, and then roll the ball in, and then get back and go pull the string, and it goes, and it goes, and then you can do that again, put the thing in, and then boom again. So I think, and there were some other things where they reduced the amount of gunpowder in there, and just kind of stuck the balls in there with a bit of wax on the end of it. So you would have a powder charge. So each magazine was a powder charge, a ball, and filled with wax or something around to keep it in place. And then you would roll it around, and then boom, boom, boom. And that kept it from rolling around. Anyway, researched long ago, I paid for it. It was just kind of like one of those interesting things. They had square pieces of metal that they were shooting, and round pieces of metal that they were shooting, depending on the barrel. I forget if the barrels were round themselves or not. There might have been a different barrel. There were two types of barrels, I think, and they tried shooting a square thing down a round tube. And it was really just, it's probably going to blow up. Let's just see what happens. Kind of experiment test, that was part of my life a long time ago. And not really used, it wouldn't, I mean, somebody would walk up to you with a sword and kill you in half the time before you could even use a gun like that. So it was just one of those random tests, where humanity or my people were screwing around with weapons. It wasn't really a real actual weapon, because you couldn't really like fire it, and it's only shooting a ball like this, and so anyway, you get overwhelmed and die. Anyway, it was just a test, and conducted by my people and me a long time ago that I was paying for. I was like, oh, let's see what happens, and it went along, and developed some weapons, and they basically turned into modern day weapons. And probably in the end, looking back, you should have never paid for that shit, especially considering that I did pay for it, and now people are like, who am I, blah, blah, and I was paying for it, I developed it, it was something that was developed basically only because I thought that maybe it would be a good idea to develop it or mess around with it. And realistically, looking back, considering how many people have been killed or whatever by those damn things, and considering that everyone's like, blah, 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 I don't exist, or whatever, it's just kind of stupid, because, I mean, it cost a lot of money, and, well, I mean, at the time it was pretty cool and pretty neat, but considering in hindsight, looking back at it, Should have never done it. You know, and maybe humanity wouldn't have weapons, wouldn't have guns. You know, maybe maybe the world would actually be a better place. I don't know. Considering it was very expensive, and I mean it was neat to, it was fun to do and all that, but you know, realistically it was stupid because a lot of people have died because of those stupid things anyway. And I got no credit for any of the stuff I did. You know, or paid for, but whatever. Anyway, it's unfortunate though because yeah, I wonder. They probably should have never done it. Should have never paid for it. Anyway.